Hey, ghoul friends, it's me, Adrian, or Ayden. Either way, I am still your host, and you are still listening to Susto, the podcast of ooky, spooky, scary stories. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning back in. If this is your first time, welcome to the Susto fam. You are jumping in at a very exciting time for a very special episode. I have been so excited about this, and I haven't said anything about it. But before we get into that, I do want to say a huge thank you to all of the best ghoul friends from Patreon that tuned in to Susto's very first movie night. Now, if you missed that, we did that on Discord and we watched the movie The Invitation and we had some commentary throughout and after the movie. It was so much fun. I recommend watching the movie. I've said this before and I'm sure I'll say it again, but I'm not a huge critic of media, which is funny for someone that's so critical of the media that I make. But what I mean is I'm not critical of media that I do watch, again, unless it's like very bad. That typically doesn't happen. I try to find the fun and the good in everything that I watch. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend it. So if you haven't seen The Invitation, it's available for rent on a bunch of different platforms. So I would suggest going to check that out. Once again, thank you to all the best ghoul friends who showed up for that. And if you want to join in the next Susto movie night, I'm going to try really hard to do these once a month. Then you can do that by signing up to be a best ghoul friend on patreon.com/Susto podcast. It's one of the many perks that you would get for being a patron. Again, this is only for the best ghoul friends level of Patreon. So a very exclusive club, but it was so much fun. Circling back to today's episode, again, I'm so excited about it. This episode, I had on Aileen and Jonny from Uy Que Horror. Uy Que Horror is a spooky podcast where childhood best friends Jonathan Atkinson and Aileen Clark explore the often overlooked world of Latinx horror films. Each week, they watch a new film, either produced in a Latin American country, directed by a Latinx person, or starring Latinx protagonists. If it's a Latinx horror, Jonny and Aileen will watch it. Y'all, this episode, this interview conversation really was so much fun. I haven't had guests on the show in a hot minute, so what better way to reintroduce guest spots to Susto than with Jonny and Aileen and Uy Que Horror. This show actually is one of my personal favorites, so if you haven't listened to them before, make sure to do so, especially because I am going to be over on their show in just a couple days. So today's Thursday and they release episodes on Monday. So listen to this one today, get a glimpse of them. While you're listening, go find their show, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do so that when I come out on theirs, you can hear me on there. But also go and listen to any of their episodes. They're all so good. They cover some really great movies that I adore, that I'd never heard of, that I might love, that I might hate, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Cannot say enough good things about what they do and how they do it. Please go check them out, and I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. We can throw this into you all's episode if you want, but I watched the movie on, what's today? Saturday? On Thursday. Yes, Thursday night. We actually went to go see my little brother play football, and so we got home like at 11 or something, or to my boyfriend's parents' house, and he had some more work to do. And I was like, well, you know what? While you work, I'm going to watch the movie. So we sat down, we settled in, and I was about to hit play, and I was about to put my headphone in, and we heard something, and we were in the kitchen sitting at the bar. And to me, at first, it sounded like, you know, like when a metal chair kind of like drags and does that like, I kind of heard that noise. And I looked at my boyfriend and he looks at me, he was like, you heard that, right? And I was like, yes, and now I'm worried. What did you hear? And he was like, I heard someone say, hey. And I was like, now that you mention it, that it truly sounded like someone just went, hey.
Ooh. No.
I was like, no. And so we told his dad, I think yesterday we were telling his dad about it. And he goes, you know what? I don't know what it is. We have the lights programmed to turn off at around 11. And he said, for some reason, every time, it's like they're on a timer with Alexa. It's like a home system. Every time that they turn off, Alexa says, okay. And he was like, but I have the volume really low on it so that we don't hear it. And I was like, so that's probably what it was, what we heard.
It's one of the biggest reasons why I don't have an Alexa is because I'm afraid it'll just start jibba-jabbering in the middle of the night.
And she does.
And she
She
does.
does? So then fuck that shit. I don't need that shit.
We have them in our place. Yeah, I hate it. Sometimes when we leave, we have like the whole system in our apartment too. And so when we leave, we have one by the door and we say, Alexa, goodbye. And she like turns off all the lights and like leaves one on for us. It's all set. But normally she'll say like, have a good day, or I'm busy too, you know, something cute.
Yeah.
And there's this one where she'll say hasta la vista, and it's her voice every once in a while. And it only happens to me. It hasn't happened to my boyfriend, where I'm leaving and I'm always alone. And I'm like, Alexa, goodbye. And she goes, hasta la vista. Like, super. I'm like, why are you talking to me like that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I normally do the introduction and post. So that's where I'll read the bio that you sent and everything. So
Wonderful.
I guess we'll jump into it as if I've already done that.
Okay.
And I did an amazing job at it.
You nailed it. Whoa, dude.
Thank you so much. Hey, ghoul friends.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
Oh, you know, back problems, trying to survive and live our lives. A lovely Saturday day.
If it's not the back problems, it's the ghosts and the demons.
Exactly. Jonny has ghosts.
I do have a ghost. I mean, before we started recording, my Apple TV fell off the thing. There's a phantasma in here just being like, I want to be in this podcast too.
Can I watch the latest season of whatever it is?
Yeah.
But I just want to say, I hope you don't mind, but I absolutely will be stealing Ghoul Friends. I love that so much.
Hey, ghoul friends.
It's yours. Take it.
It's the best. Best
Truly.
intro.
Yes.
Just give me a little
welcome
shout out
line
every
ever.
now and then.
Of course.
Absolutely. Some royalties, maybe?
Adrian
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Ayden, either way, hey,
Either-
ghoul friends.
The taglines, you have them.
We know. Thank you so much for having us, by the way. We're so excited to talk. Listen, as a fellow spooky podcast ourselves, it's always a joy to come in and jibba-jab all the spooky, fun things, and it's a lovely and honorable thing for you to accept us into your space.
No,
So thank you.
too much flattery, you guys.
No,
I'm
it's true.
so in love with
We're
you all
both so
too.
honored.
Yes.
Ah.
You have like, it seems like you are the intelligentsia part of our podcast. Like, we come in with films that have like these Latino ghouls and goblins, and we're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? And you're like, well, actually, the monster that we're speaking of today. And we're like, you're like the yin to the yang of us, basically.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
my
basically
God.
like, why don't you two just shut the fuck up
No.
and let me tell you
Let the
what is
expert
actually
speak.
happening.
Stop, not expert. Oh my God, let me tell you, it takes so much work to get to that level of like, what the fuck am I reading?
Oh, dude.
And how do I explain this to people? How do I explain it to
Totally.
myself, first of all? Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you all so much for being here. I'm such a fan of Wuku Error as well.
Thank
I
you.
started listening recently, and I was like, this is golden. This is everything I want from a movie review show. Like, so good. So, yeah, I'm a super fan, and I'm so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you so much.
The feeling
So-
is 100% mutual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, I mean, thankfully, it seems you all have listened to the show. You know how it goes. So, you know that I want to be scared. I want to have a good time. And so I have a couple questions for you all, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So, well, first, of course, I want to know how did the show come to be? I was listening, I forget which episode it was, but I remember you all talking about, and it just like truly struck a chord with me when y'all were saying that you were at the, oh my God, I forgot where it was, but the food court, and y'all were talking about like, we're gonna make it big.
The Metro Centro food
the Metro
court.
Centro, yes.
Yes. in
When y'all were telling
Nicaragua.
that story, I was like, this is literally me. Like, I've
Yeah.
been through this emotion as well. So, like, how did all of this start?
Jonny and I have known each other for what feels like centuries, at least for me, because our souls are intertwined. But I can't speak for him.
Our old asses.
Our old
It's been
asses
centuries.
have been through the
centuries.
gamut. But we've known each other for a very long time. Our best friendship truly began in high school, flourishing at the Metrocentro food court while eating French fries and talking about how we would achieve ginormous fame at some point. That's yet to happen.
Oscars, Grammys,
all of it. All of it. Tonys.
The EGOT.
Exactly. Absolute
Exactly.
EGOT chasers here. One day.
Yes, there's still time.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Who knows? But, you know, we've been friends forever, and the pandemic came around and said, you have nothing to do. And we started watching just movies every day, Jonny and his husband and me, and through FaceTime because they live in D.C. and I live in New York. And we were alternating between action movie franchises and horror movie franchises, which is a great time had by all. But one day I was like, where the Latinos at, bro? Well, there's not enough Latinos in these specifically in the spooky movies for me. And so one day I shot Jonny a text and said, hey, I think we got to do a pod, dude. And it's got to be about Latino horror movies. And hence began our journey. 2 years ago, we were just like two people stuck in our homes trying to see what Latino America had to offer when it came to spooky movies. And we've ran the gamut, the good, the bad, the ugly, the very bad, the very bad.
The very good.
The very good. And it's been a wonderful ride. We've been discovering wonderful aspects about different storytelling and like our own Latinidad, and it's been very cool to have it all go through the horror lens too, because I think poor horror people get so afraid. You know what I mean? And there's so much more to it, I think, and this
Truly.
podcast especially has really helped, at least for me, discover a lot of wonderful things through horror, which has been nice.
And I gotta say that, like, you know, through Uy Que Horror, I swear there's like a susto pocket in there, because not a lot, but I'd say like a handful of these movies that we've discovered that I think like most audiences would not know about deal with Latin American folklore and beautifully tell stories about Latin American folklore. And like we've discovered so many things. Like, of course, there's been like La Llorona, but we've learned about
El
La
Silbón.
Tulivieja, El Silbón,
El Huecufe.
El Becufe. Oh my gosh, like all these different things. So I feel like our podcasts are intertwined.
We're
in a way that
definitely
way.
sister podcasts in the fact that we both talk about these amazing tales that are passed down by grandmas, and like these cautionary things that these amazing directors and filmmakers turn into visually often very cool things. So
yeah,
it's been nice.
And it's been so nice. And like sometimes these directors, instead of just being like, this is a movie about La Llorona, it's not that like on the nose. It's like they'll tell a story about what the country has gone through a La Llorona lens or something like that, for example. And it's just like so smart and so well done and beautiful, and as, you know, Latinx people, really, really effective. So, you know, it's been a wonderful exploration so far.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like I can't remember if you all have covered this one, but what you were saying right now, it was reminding me of the Guatemalan version of La Llorona.
That's our very
on
first
Shudder.
episode.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yes. When I saw that movie, I was like, God, this is it. Like, that was one of my favorite ones ever. Like,
it's a beautifully
Absolutely.
made iteration, and like so smart to show Guatemalans the Guatemala trauma that has happened throughout their history, and yet still this like eerie, haunting tale of a woman who's looking for her kids. It's so good. That fucking movie's so beautiful. God.
So good. Yeah, it had me so choked up. But yeah, it's definitely that, just to echo what y'all are saying about this kind of like the way that this genre provides for like discovery, and not only about yourself but about like your culture and how it relates to other cultures, and like I mean that's probably one of my favorite parts of doing susto, is seeing, okay, where else is this
the
story
similarities
touching? Yes.
Totally. I was listening to one of your episodes recently, and you were saying, like, this monster is similar to this other monster from Brazil. And, like, it's so cool to find the connections of, like, the different tentacles that have gone throughout the continent, you know what I mean? And how those stories are interpreted and told. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, and I feel like I already know what the answer is, especially because you're saying that a ghost did, in fact, it was a ghost, knock down your TV. But do you all believe in ghosts?
I do.
Yes, absolutely. It's more fun that way.
Yeah,
I think,
it's more fun. It's
I think it's a little closed-minded not to think that to think that they don't exist, you know?
Agreed.
So it just makes life a little bit spookier, but definitely more interesting.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. If you had to explain, I guess, I think it's strange to ask, but I'm always asking myself and trying to explain it. But if you had to explain, let's say ghosts specifically, when we're talking about the paranormal, in like a logical way or like a scientific way, how do you think you all would explain that?
I would say... Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, I'll go first to give you time to think.
Please.
Okay.
So the way that I normally talk about it on the show is we're literally just, we're compressed atoms and energy, and you know, we're little machines, and it's weird because we're organic. And so I truly believe that we're able to leave impressions of energy. And I think that's how hauntings happen, is because when there is a usually traumatic enough event, there is a spike in energy, and it kind of puts a stamp on that place.
Yeah. And
so after the event has happened, that energy is still there. And I remember when I was in like high school, my grandparents raised me, and so my mom, she had already been moved out of the house for a couple years, like, you know, living on her own, and I was still with my grandparents. And I remember sitting in their living room one day, and they had like a half wall in the living room that you could see into the hallway, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone standing there, and I was thinking, oh, like it's probably just someone else in the house. And then I realized, oh, I'm home alone. And so I turned really quick, and I got like a glimpse before she vanished, but I saw my mom's face, and I saw her just like smiling. And I think about it now, there could be many explanations. Honestly, it could have been a demon trying to like take her appearance and trick me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also, the way I thought about it was, she grew up in that house. She had so many memories. She's still alive, but because her energy was there for so long, that stamp is there, and that's why I saw her. So that's kind of how I think about it.
What's funny, that made me incredibly jealous for a brief moment, because my mom passed away when I was 12, and I'm constantly hoping for any sort of like ghostly mom moment. That has never happened to me ever. I'm so jealous of people that are like, oh, a butterfly came and like sat on me, and I know that was my grandma. And I was like, bro, I did not know enough about my mom to be like, oh yes, that's her approaching me in some way. But I want so bad to get something like that, and either I'm not attuned enough into the sprinkles of the universe to be able to like get that. But I feel very similarly to you in that I find this often with animals too. Like every time I'm in San Francisco with my family at my cousin's house, there are moments where I'll look quickly and one of their old dogs that has already passed away, Gracie, like I'll feel like I'll see her, or oh, something's here. And I think it's that same vibe of like, not just with trauma, I think, but I think in general when there's high emotion of some sort in a space, that seems to hold, and I feel, to me it seems a little cheesy, but it's like my afterlife would want to be in a place that, if it's in a positive emotional place, would want to be in that space again, maybe. But then also in that same vein of like, if there's like trauma attached to it, it's like letting, like, I can't let go of that, or I'm stuck here with that pain or hardship. So, but in that same vein of like, that explanation of a stamp, I feel is a really good example of what it could be, I think.
Absolutely. I and think of like, even in our regular lives, like we are alive, we are not ghosts right now.
Right.
Or maybe we are.
Who knows?
But, you know, who knows?
I was
A
gonna
world
say,
of ghosts.
But
says who?
Exactly. We're all dead. We're all ghosts walking around. But even in our like regular lives, when trauma happens to us, when something traumatic happens, it is not like, oh, I'm cool. It like
stays.
you said, like you both said, it stamps. It is in there, and it is a lot to like loosen the energy, if you will, and kind of like work past it. So you could think of it in the same way. I agree with both of you. I think it's like an energy stamp. Like, bam, this happened here, it's here. And that's why like curanderos or brujas or whatever, they are like the therapists, if you will, of, you know, the supernatural world, being like, we just need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, you know, kind of like move some energy around so you can like go
Continue.
into the light,
Yeah,
Carol
yeah.
Ann. You know, just like keep going, you know?
Oh my god.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a great episode of Adventure Time. Sorry to be a nerd, but
No.
in Adventure Time, there's an episode where there's a ghost princess, and she's trying desperately to like go to the next plane, but she longs for her lover who you know, she can't get to. And then suddenly this very handsome other ghost appears, and she seems to have a connection with him, and they can't figure it out. Like, why do we love each other so much immediately? And then turns out in the past she was a warrior princess and he was also a warrior, but he was from the other side and he killed her during battle. And then when she finally realized that he killed her, that as a ghost, she's like, oh, I found it, and she's able to pass on. But then he's left behind, and he's like, oh no, how did I die? I need to go back so that I can be with her. And then he discovers, it's so stupid and funny, but he's one day in a 7-Eleven and he's depressed and sad, or a 7-Eleven, a quote unquote, and he's depressed and sad because he doesn't have the love of his life anymore, and he drowns himself in nacho cheese, and that's how he dies. And when he finally realizes, like, it was the nacho, the skies open up, and Ghost Princess sticks her little hand out, and they can go cross together into the plane. It's so nice.
Oh my, that's how I want to go, honestly. Death by nacho cheese.
Death
Take
by
me.
nacho cheese.
Take me. Oh
Pour
my god.
queso in my face and let me go.
Truly. Oh my god. So like on that vein, now that we've established you know, our belief in the paranormal, do you all have a scary story, maybe something that happened to you? You're ready, Aileen. I see it in your eyes.
I want Jonny to go first. I want
Okay.
Jonny to go first.
Okay.
All right. I'm also like, I'm so excited to hear. I know what Eileen's going to talk about.
Because we
and I'm,
already
like,
gathered about it.
I'm like, I want her to go first, but I will go first.
Okay.
So,
I also know what Johnny's going to talk about because it's insane. Soulmates. Listen, I'm Ghost Princess. Johnny is the other guy.
So cute.
What's my character's name?
I
What
don't
was it? Nacho
remember.
Cheese
I
Prince?
think his name. Oh, no,
Whatever.
I do remember. It's Clarence.
That's me, Clarence.
You're Clarence.
Yes. Okay. So I personally have not experienced anything. Like, I haven't seen anything. And honestly, like, my mom, she's from Honduras. She's from San Pedro Sula. She is what I will call like an open vessel.
Oh,
she is a
for
very
sure.
spiritual person. She is now a Reiki master, but like throughout my life, she has always been like exploring her spirituality, not religion, spirituality. And so I'm like, Ma, you're so open. Like, you are like a guru. How do you feel all these things? And she's just like, you're just not paying attention.
I mean,
She said,
Marta
"Wake up."
Marta Luz told you.
Marta Luz is like, mira, you just gotta fucking pay attention, honey. So this was so much fun for me. Ayden. Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to call you Ayden for some reason. Ayden. No ve?
Yes, that's fine. But
Ayden?
no,
Okay.
literally so many names. I'm like Satan. I have many names that people know me by. Adrian, Adrian, Ayden, Adan.
Oh, I love it.
Todo.
Okay, so this was so much fun for me because like I took this so seriously and basically like interviewed my family, especially my mom. So let's take it back to Brazil real quick here. And this is actually where Aileen and I first met because like our life kind of like serendipitously brought us together, but you know, we grew up for a portion of our lives in Brazil, in Brasilia, Brazil. Same school. She was one class ahead of me. So, like, you know how when you're that young, the classes don't really, like, you don't kind of hang out with, like, the older kids or
the
younger
third
kids.
graders? Gross. I'm in
Ew.
fourth grade, okay, bitch?
Don't talk to me. But, like, so, but my brother was in Aileen's grade.
Yeah.
So I remember there was, my brother had a birthday party. I don't know, fucking turning 12 or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Even younger, even maybe 10 or something. And we literally have photos now in my parents' house where we're like, I didn't know Aileen back then, pero you look in the picture and you're like, mira, ahí está
Aileen.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
so
remember
just
the
to kind
outfit
of,
I
like-
wore to that birthday party.
Oh, it's the epitome of 90s.
Vest.
The epitome.
Vest and shorts that matched, and they were like a print and then a
Not a
shirt
two-piece.
underneath. Yes, like a matching two-piece vest.
Yes.
White shirt
Lots of denim.
underneath. Yeah, and then a fucking Bermuda short of the same fucking fabric as the vest. Ugh.
I live.
Oh my God. Amazing. So we will come back to this Brazil story, like put a pin in Brazil. But okay, so let's talk about my mom, Marta Luz. So she was born in Honduras. She was Hondureña. So listen, I was like, tell me more. How did this make you feel? Like I was like reporter mode talking
Okay,
to her.
Anderson
It was so much fun.
Cooper.
I love it.
So the first thing she told me, she was like, the first memory I had of like being scared because of something supernatural. She said she was like 7 or 8. She was in Honduras, and she remembers playing with like 3 or 4 kids on a patio, like in the dirt, and they had drawn a circle on the earth. And then one of the kids happened to mention like Satanás, El Diablo. And so all the kids were like, don't fucking say that. Shut up. Like, you're not supposed to say that. But then all of a sudden, and she's like, te lo juro, te lo juro. She's like, we heard like a rumble coming from the earth. And of course, we are in Central America, so, you know,
Earthquake.
occasionally there are like terremotos, temblores, like shit like this happens. But she was like, it felt different. Like it was very scary, and they all ran away.
Oh my God.
And that night,
Jonathan, I've
night.
never heard this story.
I haven't heard this story. I literally heard it for the first time the other day. I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me this? So that night, she was sleeping in bed, and she like shared beds with, you know, her siblings, her sisters. And she woke up, and she heard like booming footsteps coming toward her, and like she could feel like
Paranormal
that it was
activity.
algo mal, like this was not good. She was scared.
Yeah.
So she woke up her sisters, and they could fucking hear it too.
No.
And I was like, Mom, that's horrible. End of story, I thought. And she's like, oh, no. She woke up the next morning, and she had scratches on her back.
Híjole.
I mean, proof. That's proof for me. And I was like, I cannot believe you didn't tell me that. I can't believe that.
Dude.
So since then, she was like, she told me that like as a kid, she could always feel presences. She went to like an all-girls school that was run by nuns, like basically a convent. And occasionally she would like wake up at night and like the hairs on her arms and the back of her head would stick up. And so she would just like pray and pray and pray and pray. And usually it would go away. And then she started having like out of body experiences. Like she said she felt trembling. Like the feeling would start as like a little tremor. And then it was like poof. She was out of her body and like looking at herself, just like floating above herself. But she said that if she prayed enough, she would like be able to like be back in her body. And again, I am almost 40 and I have never heard these stories. Never heard these freaking stories.
Well, I mean, I've known Jonny for a really long time. I know his mom, and his mom is genuinely when you walk into Jonny's house in Maryland, there is either it's all the Reiki going on in that dang house, but when you walk in, there is never not a sense of peace, at least for me.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I come in and I'm always like, okay, chill vibes all the time. And
you know what? That's Marta Luz.
Yeah,
that's her.
and that's his in general. That's his mom in general. Whenever you're around her, you're like, whatever witchy energy you're giving out, Marta Luz, it's working. Like it feels
10 out of 10, 5 stars.
Absolutely. Would recommend go for it. Yelp it up.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so that's hilarious that she wouldn't tell you this like
I mean, I always like kind of knew, like I've always known that that my mom is very spiritual, and also that like she feels presences, but she's usually like, ¿sabes qué? Like, I don't need that. I'm cool. Like, so she'll literally do the thing where she'll pray and she'll be like, please just go away. I sense you. I acknowledge, but go.
Yeah.
Vete, vete, vete. I don't need it. So this was a great story that I freaking loved, that also, like, I felt chills. So I have a tia who lives in San Antonio, my tia Leda. So one time, my mom, when she had like just moved to the United States from Honduras, she went to go visit her sister, my tia Leila, in San Antonio. And she was staying in her guest room. She goes to bed, and she felt somebody embrace her, like fully embrace her. And so she was like, no, I'm cool. She was like, por favor.
Not a nice embrace, like a scary embrace?
She said, I asked her that again in Anderson Cooper. I was like, how did it make you feel? Like, how was it?
You said.
And she, just like microphone to face, speak into the microphone.
Louder,
but
ma'am.
She didn't say that like it felt threatening, but she did say it felt male. She was like, it felt like a man, which I was like,
yeah, that's
so threatening.
Yeah.
So threatening.
Yeah, especially because at that point she would have been like early 20s, like, you know, freshly in her 20s. So what's especially creepy about that story is that several years later, she was speaking to her sister, my tia Carmen, and tia Carmen was like, oh, I went to stay with tia Leda in San Antonio, y algo me pasó. The exact same fucking thing happened to my tia Carmen. And the same embrace, the same whole thing. And my tia Leda apparently still lives in this freaking house in San
my
Antonio.
God.
Jonny, we are going, and we're bringing I have a Ghost Hunter app on my phone, and we're going to turn that Ghost Hunter app and move about that house, Jonny, and find this man ghost.
You know what? San Antonio is only like an hour from Austin, so I can join you.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Ayden, you're coming.
We're gonna meet.
We're making Tia Leila's house our ghost hunting spot.
We are creating a new ghost hunting team.
Yes.
This literally ghost hunting team.
Sonoro,
right here.
immediately give us the show. We need it.
Book it.
All right. Now let's go back to Brazil.
Okay.
So we're living in Brazil. All the kids are born. Great. My mom is the mom. You know, we're in Brazil. So she used to sense like a very young presence in the house. And she says, like, when she was alone. Now, granted, she has 3 kids living with her she's got 3 kids. Pero when she was alone, she would hear like children's footsteps running through the house.
No.
But not just like running off into nowhere. She would hear the running, and then like as if somebody had slammed into metal or like glass was shattering. And so I was like, maybe that's how this like child spirit died in this house in Brazil. Because I'm telling you, our house in Brazil was haunted. It was fully haunted. The same house where Aileen came to that party and everything.
Dancing my pants off under a disco ball
the night away.
Oh my God.
I never felt anything, by the way. I went to that party and left nary a ghost in sight, but I had a great time.
Oh, it was a great party. Yeah, it was a great party.
Because the energy was up. The vibrations
was
were
up.
up.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, that ghost was having a great time.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Honest,
like
yeah.
if it's a child ghost and this party is like full of children, the ghost was like, I am living.
Where's
for
my
this.
glass of Coca-Cola? Have my sugar spike and run around.
Yes.
Exactly. Give me a piece of pizza. So my mom said that like she would hear this, and that is like a rather, scary thing to hear. But she never felt threatened by this like youthful presence. Although there was one night where she woke up and she saw a dark figure standing in her room, like in the middle of the night. And I was like, a shadow? Like maybe just like darkness. Exactly. I was like,
Microphone?
tell me more. Was it a man? What was it? But she basically said like it looked like the form of a man just standing there. So it scared the shit out of her. But she got up out of bed and she checked it out. She was like praying. She was like, you have no right to be here. She literally said, I banish you because you're not supposed to be here.
I rebuke your presence.
You. So she prayed, and then she went back to bed, and literally, I shit you not, 10 minutes later, my sister Andrea, who's 4 years older than me, runs into the bedroom screaming that she just saw a shadow in her room.
Oh
so
my God.
my mom is like, nope, this is not happening. So she grabbed like some incense, she grabbed some sage, and she went through the whole house that night, and she basically was like, please follow the light. There is love and light for all beings. Follow the light.
That's
if you're
such
not
a
of
Marta
love
Luz
and
thing.
light, right? And like this is a poltergeist, right?
Totally.
And so she said, if you're not of love and light, you can't come into this house, which I love that so much.
So
if you're not
good.
of love and light, like
Fuck
off. Get out of here.
I'm going to just start saying that to everybody that comes over.
Exactly.
Are you
right?
not of love and light? Get the fuck out of this Starbucks,
Fuera.
please.
Yeah, not the Starbucks.
So because like so I was like, I need to call my sister now to find out if she still remembers it. So I called my sister again, fully just interviewing my family here.
I love it.
And Andrea was like, yeah, she remembers it. So we had kind of like, it was a big house. Like it was like a 4-story house, and all of our bedrooms were on the 3rd floor. And our house was kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
It was out there.
Lago Sul or Lago
And-
Norte?
Lago Sul.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lago Sul. It was out there. I'm sure now it's just like
Oh,
developed
it's so different
like
now.
crazy because this was, 30 years ago. Pero like I'd say 100 or so meters behind our house, there was a dirt road that didn't get a lot of traffic, but Andrea said that at night, if a car ever passed through there, went through the dirt road, the headlights of the car would shine through the window behind her bed and like cast a shadow on the closets in front of her. Mm-hmm. So that night, that happened, like she saw the lights like shining through her window, but it looked like there was somebody like basically with their arms out, like kind of like spread eagle, looking in the window because the shadow was on her closets. And
Ew.
this is 3rd floor of the house. So that's not possible, So like it seemed like somebody was like on her window looking in.
Nope.
And that's when she like immediately was like, hell no. And she ran and, got into bed with my parents. So that I think is like the scariest thing that happened. My dad saw like a child presence run underneath some stairs and thinking it was one of us. He went under the stairs and there was nobody there.
Harry Potter.
Wait, so let me ask, do you know the history of the house? Was it a new build for you all? Like anything on the land before?
I was so young at the time, like I don't really know. I wish I did. I assumed that the house was not very old, which is why that's surprising. Mm-hmm. What I assumed is that it was built over something. Like I just think that land out there, there was something there, and they just started to develop on it without really paying attention to where it was going. That's what I assume. But the child, like that thing specifically, like I feel like the ghost of the child, I think that happened there at that house. That the running and the slamming noise in the glass, that feels like exactly like what we were talking about, like an energy stamp, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, like even though like the child ghost, she said didn't feel threatening, but like seeing a dark shadow, that doesn't feel good to me.
No.
Pero she also mentioned that every now and then she would see like beautiful pink orbs just kind of like floating around.
That's nice.
Which to me seems protective and really, really nice. The only thing that I can say about my experience is that like a lot of this, or like some of the sightings of this like ghost child were in the basement, and I used to spend a lot of time in the basement all by myself.
You freak.
And I wasn't scared. Like I just love spending time down there just like playing, which to me feels like, oh, well, maybe there was something just being like, come and play with me.
Dude, I bet your mom and dad one day came down to those steps down the basement and they saw you. Like, this is what I picture. I picture your little back, like you sitting on the ground cross-legged, back to the stairs, parents coming down, and you like playing with something, and then you're like, no, I need that back. Or like you start talking to whatever, and then your parents look across and there's nary a soul there, and they're like, well, our son is speaking to a ghost.
Possessed. Goodbye.
What do we do?
Just looking into a dark corner saying, I won't do that. I love them. I can't hurt them.
I can't hurt them.
Oh my God.
And
Can you imagine?
he turns his head slowly and he's like, hello, mother and father.
No, but you know what the best part would be? The end of that would be that off to the side they hear, Mom, Dad, and they look up and Johnny's standing up there.
Oh! Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, we've written a film, guys. This
Great.
is
All right,
the movie.
Listen.
Get the lights on, get the cameras rolling.
Roll camera now.
Anyway, so those are my spooky tales from Brazil. And now, Aileen, I am so excited
So
to hear this story again.
So this is actually a story of Jonny and I together experiencing spooky ooky stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, like Jonny said, we originally our bodies first were in the orbit of each other in Brazil, but our friendship became official in Nicaragua. And Jonny and I loved to film ourselves. Jonny had a camcorder. He was obsessed. We were obsessed with writing a horror movie and being famous. Like, we wanted to make this happen. And he had a camcorder, and we were constantly just recording our stupid idiocies, like, on our own, in my room, in his room, just gabbing. Mm-hmm. Now, Nicaragua has been fraught with a lot of civil turmoil. Like, the politics have always been a hot disaster. And in the neighborhood that Jonny lived in, called Carretera Sur, Southern Highway basically was the area, deep in that Southern Highway, there was a section of land that was abandoned. And in the middle of that land was an abandoned house. And it was very spooky because if you drove by it, obviously this is a freeway style road, so you can't really stop and see. So you're just always driving right past it. And it's this big white mansion-esque house. And on the outside, somebody had written in either red paint or something blood-like, La Casa del Diablo. Now, The history of the house, I remember asking my tia, who I was being raised by at the time over there. I was like, tía, ¿y por qué dice la casa del diablo in that house? And she's like, bueno, there's a back and forth of what that house was and who lived there, but some of the urban legend behind it was top government officials from back in the day with the Sandinistas and with all like the Daniel Ortega stuff, and that the guy that lived there was either a government official that got like murdered in there, or was like a Sandinista that tortured people in there, or a government official that tortured Sandinistas in there. Something bad happened there, and then one day somebody came out and wrote La Casa del Diablo. It's been abandoned for years. Okay. One day I'm in Johnny's house and we're hanging out filming ourselves like fucking idiots, and and at this point, I wasn't really into spooky things yet.
And I was obsessed.
And Johnny,
I've always been obsessed.
Johnny was obsessed and constantly trying to shove it down my throat. And one day I was there and I was like, well, you know, La Casa del Diablo is right over there and it's horrible and it's like haunted and shit. And Johnny was like, the what? And I was like, if we go a few minutes up, there's an abandoned house that says La Casa del Diablo, and it's supposed to be like haunted and spooky and horrible. And Johnny was like, well, we should go. And I was like, no, I've made a horrible mistake. But so
oh my God.
We made a plan. It was Johnny, myself, our friend Freddie, and his two cousins that were visiting from the United States. And we went over to Johnny's dad, David Atkinson, and we're like, David, drive us up to La Casa del Diablo, stay in the car, leave the lights on so that we can like go in really fast and see what's up, and then we can like drive back really fast. And God bless Johnny's dad. He was like, sure, why not?
Oh my God.
To this day, I'm like, wow. I mean,
he genuinely was like, sure, fuck it. This is
whatever.
in the middle of the night. I mean, not middle, but definitely like it's nighttime.
It was dark, yeah.
Yes.
I think in his brain, he was more like, I would feel safer being
Sure.
there instead of you guys just like being solo there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I love that.
At this time, like, we were still pretty much a poor country, so there were chunks of the Carretera Sur that didn't have lampposts or anything like that. So he also probably was like, I'm taking these kids to an abandoned house in the middle of a dark like plot of land. I'm gonna go with them. So we all pile into David's car, and Johnny has his camcorder. He's filming fucking everything because he's like, yes, I'm Wes Craven. I am going to make this film. And I'm shitting my pants. I'm shitting.
Mm-hmm. But were you shitting?
Oh, absolutely was I shitting. We get there, David parks right in front. And again, this place is overgrown. There's like plantas everywhere. This house is in the middle of nothing, darkness. And there's a teeny tiny like walked through path, but if that, leading to the front of the house. So we all pile out of the car. Everybody else goes in front, and Johnny is trying so hard to go to, but I'm holding on to the back of his shirt. Like, no, wait, you need to wait. Wait for me. How dare you? No. So, David stays in the car, lights on, ready to go in case we need to come running.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the house. We go inside, and, like, our eyes adjust, and all around the walls, like, it's this huge foyer / living room. Up towards the back of the house, there's like a staircase that kind of goes up, but you already can see it's super dilapidated and like fucking falling apart. All over the walls, there's just like writing everywhere. Writing and writing and writing, which is very spooky to see the first time you go and you're like, all this writing all over the walls, but then your eyes adjust and you look closer and it's like Fernando y Maria, and
Oh my God.
or like Los Tres Vamos, whatever, just like,
Amor por siempre.
see, like that kind of shit.
Chewie was here.
Yes, that kind of shit.
Oh
Like a
my
marijuana leaf or something like that. Stupid
I'm
shit.
such a badass with my marijuana leaf.
Yeah. So
Just
we
a bunch of penises.
Exactly.
Yes,
Precisely.
totally. Yep.
So we look around and our eyes are adjusting to the darkness. Now, I should make a point about the camcorder in that we didn't have, like, it had night vision, like classic Paris Hilton vibes, but to achieve the look of night vision, you still needed light to, like, get that. And this camcorder didn't have light. But either way, we're filming it. Well, Jonny is filming everything. We walk in, and I feel a little safer. I let go a bit, and Johnny's, like, looking around. We're looking around like, oh, this doesn't feel so scary now that we see Fernando and Maria. We're here or whatever. We do decide not to go upstairs because the staircase was pretty fucking busted.
Yeah.
But to the right of this room, we see a couple other doorways that lead into other rooms of the house. Freddie's cousins go in first. They kind of like do a lap and like, oh, look, this room is empty. There's no one here. Freddie goes in. Everybody seems fine. I'm still holding on to Johnny's shirt as he crosses the doorway. I haven't even made it past the frame. Jonny is there. He kind of does a once-over of the room, and he leans the camera to the right and then down towards the ground, like right at where the wall and the frame begin. And Jonny says, "There's a man in the house. There's a man in the house."
No.
When I tell you the speed in which my feet turned, and like literally a smoke shaped shape of me was left behind, because out of that house I was running, sprinting, Olympic medal fast, okay? Yes, Kapchow, okay? So I get to David in the car. I'm like, there's a man in the house. There's a man in the house. And he obviously is like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, genuinely, like, my kids are in danger. We all run back in because obviously after a while, John's like, there's a man in the house. And everyone comes behind me. We get in the car. Adrenaline, too. Like, we are freaking out in this car. Holy shit, did you film it? Did you film it? I filmed it. And Jonny says that he walked in, he looked down, and there was a man sitting cross-legged on the floor, back towards on the wall, who was looking straight down or ahead. And then when Jonny pointed the camera at him, he slowly turned his head and looked up at Jonny. Correct, Jonathan?
Absolutely 100% correct. Sitting cross-legged, slowly looked up at me. Just like shit your pants, fear-inducing, chills all over your body.
Horrible.
But yeah,
so we're
just looking right up at me.
We're screaming in the car. We're belting. Poor David went deaf that day because all these kids are just like screaming, holy shit, we got to get home and we got to see the stuff on the camcorder. We got to see the footage. We got to see. So we get back to Johnny's house. We plug in his camcorder into the TV. And because we didn't have a light source to be able to light up what we were looking at, we couldn't see a goddamn thing. But what we could see were these like lighter shadows. It seemed like if everything was black, it seemed like white shapes of like hands were waving in front of the camera, like on the screen. And we were like, whoa, what the fuck is that? Holy shit. We were freaking out and analyzing that video to death. All you could hear was us belting and being like, wow, look at this, holy shit. And then Jonny saying, there's a man in the house. There's a man in the house.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This tape exists somewhere.
It's somewhere.
It must be.
It's in your house. It has to be.
At my parents' house somewhere. Just
please,
like
I need to find it.
Absolutely need to see it.
Yes.
I need to.
Yeah.
But
oh my God. Okay.
the craziest part of all, we finally relax. We're like, whoa, That was crazy. Can't believe we went to La Casa del Diablo. Can't believe that happened to us. Holy shit. Let's go to the kitchen and get a snack. Great. Because, remember, we're teens. We still need to be like, maybe some goldfish crackers. Oh, my God. Let's talk about whatever. So we go to Johnny's kitchen, and he has this little table that's, like, long enough for all of us to sit around. And we're just, like, gooped and gagged. Like, holy shit, can you believe? And the way that Johnny's kitchen worked is like you walked into it from the door, and right across the way was like a bay door that would open out into the garden, basically. So glass,
I already hate this.
A glass door, yes. And again, remember, nighttime. So the lights in the kitchen are on, and we're just like beep, 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 beep. And I'm pretty sure it was either Johnny or Freddie at the head of the table facing the bay doors. And we're just like, again, losing our shit. And I'm going to say it was Johnny. And Johnny's face kind of stops in the middle of all this action. And he's looking at the bay doors like, what the fuck is that? And all of us turn to look. And this giant, shapeless blob is slowly walking up to the bay doors. And we're like, what the fuck is that? And like all of us bolting out of that kitchen like, what the hell? Silence, and then hysterical cackling. David Atkinson had been like, good night. He went into his room, grabbed a blanket, and went all around the house and scared the living shit out of all of us.
Oh my God.
He was losing his shit. I've never seen my dad laugh
It
so
was
hard.
honestly brilliant. The best fucking thing that a parent can do is take their kids to go do something idiotic and then scare the shit out of them at the end of it. It was perfect.
Oh man.
That is
it was
so
great.
Oh my God, that is so fucking funny. That is some shit. Listen, I love to be scared. That's obviously I love this content. I am a big scaredy cat, so when it comes to real life things, I'm like, no, never mind. I just want to talk about it.
Constantly shrieking at everything because it's terrifying.
I love to scare people.
Me too.
That guy.
Yes.
It is literally this last week, all of my Snapchat memories. There was this one week, it was October, a couple years ago, when I used to work at a clinic, and there was just like a bunch of walls everywhere and like half walls and windows. So I keep getting Snapchat memories. It's like on this day 5 years ago, and it's literally just me scaring the shit out of my coworkers.
Hilarious. The best content on the internet is when people scare people. Ask Johnny his
Scare
favorite
cam. Yes.
his favorite stuff.
Listen, if I've ever in like I'm feeling down, just fucking
Scare
look up some videos of
compilation.
people, the scare cam. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Delight.
Do you all think that man in the house, do you think that maybe he was just like someone seeking shelter, or were you getting like a spirit vibe?
I think someone's seeking shelter. Yes, Johnny?
I agree. It didn't feel supernaturally spooky. It just felt like he was small. Like, I can't honestly, like, I was a teenager, so if a person was 30, I would be like, they're old, so like
rude.
he seemed
Incredibly.
older, as a teenager. But he was just like a small older dude sitting there. Like, the fact that he just kind of like looked up at me slowly, like, if he was what would you call it, like a cuidadero, or like if he
Cuidador.
was watching the house? Cuidador. Thank you. If he was a cuidador, he immediately would have been like,
Get out
Oye,
of
¿qué
here.
están haciendo aquí?
Yeah.
Váyanse, vete, whatever. Like, that would have been clear right from the top. He would have heard our dumbasses like walking in, like,
Stomping
oh my
in.
God, Lola,
Yeah.
we're so scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this dude, I think he just was like, he just needed a place to be for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
which is
it's still startling to walk up
scared
on
the shit
someone
out of
like
me.
that. Yeah, you're not expecting it. I will say one thing that I've noticed, and I won't say names so that we don't get into any drama online.
Of
but
course. Oh my God.
I've seen videos like paranormal compilations, and there are some where people go into abandoned spaces and then they come upon a person, and the thing that scares me about that is like you don't know what state this person is in.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what David's fear was when we went back in the car and we were like, we saw a man. He's like, guys, that could have been a dangerous person.
Yeah.
That could have been, anybody. Just like, that's scary for just like the actual real life part of it. Totally.
Yeah. The thing, though, that I wanted to mention is that when I see some of these compilations, I feel like sometimes the way that they talk about people experiencing homelessness, it's so stigmatizing and disparaging.
Yeah.
And they're like, a homeless man was in there, and who could have who could have known what happened? But also, this person was probably just trying to get some sleep.
Yeah, or having a
Absolutely.
roof over their head.
Yeah.
Yes.
And honestly, that's the scariest part: capitalism.
Absolutely.
100%. And if anything, like, we're clearly the fucking assholes in this story,
Yes,
Yeah.
we are the shitty teens.
If anything, this guy was just like, I mean, who would come to La Casa del Diablo? Stupid fucking teenagers.
Yeah.
So
Kids.
this guy was probably just like, I just need, like Aileen said, a roof over my head for a little bit, like a place to just like not be found by the cops or whatever, just like a safe space for a little bit, even if it's fucking scary
En La
as
Casa
shit.
del Diablo, fuck
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, God, no. I honestly, I would have run for my life as well. That is,
It's the only thing I could have done. I was out of there so fucking fast. But I mean, when we saw the handprints, like the hand shadows on the camera, that was like spooky and like that kind of vibe. But it was the epitome of, I think, who Jonny and I were at the time. It was the perfect encapsulation of us, and I think it's just this great stupid memory that not only seeing what was inside La Casa del Diablo, but the fact that David he was so smart to take advantage of our high adrenaline time and just be like, one last thing for these dumb kids, which is so good.
that is perfect. I love that so much. That story reminds me of, I feel like I've told the story before on the show, but there's this place in the area that I grew up in. And it's been long abandoned for many, many years, decades. And I remember, like, in high school, that was the thing to do. It was like, oh, did you go to the Delta Mansion? And back in the day, it was called the Jewel of the Delta. And it was supposed to be a tourist attraction for the area, like a hotel, but like something really swanky, like a boutique kind of hotel. And since then, it's had many lives, I guess. Like, so it started off as that. At one point, people said it was just a mansion for like a singular family. I remember hearing stories about it being an asylum. And then eventually, what happened is it went into, like, it just like turned into a ruin, basically. Ultimately, the thing that I know that happened for sure was because I saw it in the news when I was in high school, was the woman that owned it. She was already an elderly woman. And of course, she had a life insurance policy, and her grandson killed her and burned her body and left it on the property because he wanted to inherit the life insurance and the property. But, and this is all alleged, I'm saying allegedly, I don't want to get in trouble. Allegedly, that he didn't think far ahead enough to think, well, of course they can't just report her missing or dead without question and then, I'm going to get the money. All this to say, all that context is, so of course, I was a stupid teenager too, so of course we went, me and my friends. Yeah. And it's the way that you're describing El Casa del Diablo, it's so similar. Like, but that's what happens when something gets abandoned. The grass is tall, there's barely anywhere to park, much less walk through.
Yeah.
And this place was, when we went, by that time, it was basically just like a shell. Like, most of the walls were gone. There was an elevator shaft.
Ooh,
and there was
terrifying.
like an empty pool. Oof. And I remember when we went, we got there and there was enough moonlight that like our eyes were able to adjust. We didn't need to leave the headlights on. And we parked and we saw we had to stop because there was like a fountain and there was a statue in the center of it. And of course, like none of it's like works, it's empty and whatever. So we're like, okay, whatever. So we park and then we're kind of looking around and like we get off and we're like, should we go? And we're like, we don't know. The floor is not there anymore. Like literally just a shell.
Yeah.
So like we kind of watch around the outside and we're like, all right, too spooky. Let's leave. So we leave. And then we went back a couple days later and we parked in the same spot. And I realized I'm looking at the fountain. I was like, you guys, what do you think happened to the statue that was on the fountain? It was the daytime and there was no statue.
No.
And there wasn't even
Ew.
a trace of it. Like, it wasn't knocked over. There wasn't, like, the broken pieces of it. Like, it just was not there. And
That's
so then,
really scary.
so because it's the daytime, we're like, okay, we can actually walk around a little bit safer. And as we're walking, like, by the pool area, there's a bunch of, like, potted plants and, like, yerbas and stuff. And one of my friends wanted to go and, like, see them. And he was like, oh, what's this? And he was reaching for a jar. Exactly. He was reaching for a jar. I said, don't touch it. Leave it alone. He was like, what? I was like, you don't know what's in there. You don't know if somebody is practicing here. Like, don't touch it. We should probably actually just leave. And then on our way out, I remember we got freaked out because from the elevator shaft, an owl flew out as we were walking away.
Ooh.
Thankfully, it was the daytime. If it was the nighttime, I literally would have just, like, combusted on the spot, and that's it. End of my story. But
Totally.
it was the daytime, so I was like, we need to go. We have to get out of here.
OMG.
That house that you were talking about just reminded me so much of the one near in my hometown.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like all towns have...
You gotta have
you know,
a spooky
the
house. Like, there's no way that to not have either the spooky house or the neighbor that you're like, what's your deal?
Yeah, what are you up to in there?
What's going on here with you, pal? Yeah. But that's, I mean, it's something so, there's something so wonderful of having, like, it feels personal to have your own little spooky where I grew up tale, or like the thing that that can give personality to where you're from, and that's always fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you all have any scary movie recommendations? What should we watch? If you had to give one recommendation to the listeners out there,
oh my God. Well,
what should they watch?
I'm going to stick with like folklore theme because, you know, I'm surprised that actually on Uy Que Horror we haven't had that much like exploration of like the personajes in folklore like we mentioned earlier. But I'm going to say check out this movie from Chile called Huecufe, which was a great movie. It talks about the Huecufe, but there's another character in there, mierda, and I can never remember, but it's like, it talks about how like the Huecufe is a created character, but there's like a deeper, older character in there. Remember, Aileen? Like, it's literally like a little person with a giant dick.
With a big dick. It's a little guy. It's a little person with a big dick is the line that sticks out.
That's literally
from that
what
film.
the legend is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that you can't send your girls like out into the woods because he like entrances you, and then you disappear into the fucking woods, bro.
Yeah. And like Huecufe, I will say, didn't like quite stick the landing for me personally, but the movie, it was still very good, and it is like through this folklore, it also has this very like, it deals with like colonialism in there as well, and just like how that has completely fucked shit up. I think that's a really good example of
and it's fun,
a movie that we both enjoyed.
And found footage style horror
It's found
film,
footage.
which is always a little extra spooky when it's like, oh, it's happening to me. Huecufe is a good one for sure. I'd say if we're going for like a spooky haunted house vibe, that'll genuinely give you jumps. I'm gonna say Aterrados from Argentina. In English, it's called Terrified. There is some spooks in there. They are going to get you.
Genuinely scary.
Genuinely scary. The ending is fine, but like the actual stuff in the film, we get a little ghost hunting action as well. There is some good shit in there. So Aterrados for sure, for like a haunted house vibe. I feel like there's more. I mean, obviously,
there's so many.
Listen, if your listeners want to check out our catalog of episodes are literally all titled after horror films. We in the pod, we always say the reason why we do it is to get eyes on these movies, whether they're good, bad, or ugly. And so literally take your pick from our library, but those two are definitely good, like folklore-y, really spooky. If you want something like beautiful, I'd say Good Manners, As Boas Maneiras from Brazil is very beautiful, and it's a werewolf story, which is not, you wouldn't think that would be like beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
And, if you want spooky kids, Poison for Fairies, which in Spanish is Veneno para las Hadas, is
so good.
Is also gorgeous, but also just like two really good kid actors doing some really good movie stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
a solid
little list.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm so gonna check all of those out.
You got it.
I want to say also, I just remembered it, but I don't know if this was just like a me thing in my childhood, or if it was like a regional thing, or I don't know what. And maybe y'all might relate to it. But growing up, there was this thing that we used to do to scare each other, like sleepovers, like with our cousins or friends or whatever. It was that point in the night where it's. Everyone's kind of like winding down. We're getting ready to go to bed, and we're all just like laying there in silence, but still like, and we're trying to go to sleep. It's funny for some reason. But one thing my cousins and I would do, and my friends and I would do to each other, is just like whenever there was that like minute of silence right after we finally settled down, someone would just go, "Ooh." And for some reason that scared the shit out of us. And whoever like if I did it, I would get scared too. But if somebody else would do it, I would be like, stop. But so it's so funny because like, of course, your show, Uy, qué horror. Whenever but that word, that uy, I don't know why. I just, it's literally just in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you're taking me back. You're taking me back for sure.
It's funny because before Jonny and I ever started doing the podcast, every now and then when we would visit each other, I'd be like, let's make a funny video. And so we have this collection of like 4 or 5 videos where we took Spanish or Latino sayings, or like even just like sounds that could be interpreted in many different ways. And one of them was the Latin inhalation, is what we called it, which is when you go, exacto. So that one, and like the different places that could go in. But then another one was the uy, and we would go like uy, or like uy, 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 or uy, 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 add the Latin inhalation. So like that's very relatable. I think all Latinos in some way have that Uy, no. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. It's amazing.
Oh my God. I don't know why. That was just my favorite thing to do. Just next time you're with other people.
Absolutely.
Right before going to bed.
Oh my gosh. Thank you all so much for being here today. This was truly a pleasure and so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. And we're so excited to have you over on our pod soon, chatting about a scary movie of our own here. And you can find sweet Ayden over on Uy, qué horror for an episode.
Yes, make sure that you all tune in for that, because we watched The Old Ways.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about it. I'm so excited for that. Once again, thank you all. Can you tell everybody where to find you, where to listen to you, where to engage with you?
Absolutely. You can find us on our redes sociales, as we like to say on the pod, at Uy, qué horror on Instagram, and on Twitter we're at Uy_que_horror. We're on TikTok too, but like honestly, we're not doing that. It's too much
It's
over
hard.
there.
I try
It's
so hard.
It's really hard.
I post like once every couple weeks, and I'm like,
Dude.
it's work.
It's tough.
Demasiado.
But if you follow us on our redes sociales, every Friday we announce the movie that we're going to cover the following week so that you get to like have the weekend to watch. And then we release new episodes every Monday. So check us out.
Yay. Well, Jonny, Aileen, for a third time, thank you for being here.
Thank you, hon. We had a
Thank
great
you.
time. We love to
We'll
be
talk
spooky.
to you later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
What a fun show this was to make. I am so honored and so excited that Aileen and Jonny took the time to have this conversation with me and to have me over on their show. Again, this episode came out Thursday. Their episode with me as a guest will be coming out on Monday the 21st, so make sure to go check them out, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. Listen to all of their episodes because they are so much fun. Again, you can follow Uy Que Horror on social media at Uy Que Horror on Instagram and TikTok, or Uy_Que_Horror on Twitter. If you have your own scary stories that you want to share with me so that I can share them on the show, you already know how to do that. You can send an email to sustopodcast@gmail.com. You can send it in a DM on the social medias, that's at sustopodcast on every platform, or you can leave it in a 5-star review if you're able to do so on whichever platform you are listening on. And as always, this episode was brought to you by Susto's patrons. That's patreon.com/sustopodcast. Thank you so much to all of my ghoul friends. They are Liza, Sadie, Rachel, Alejandra, Luther, April, Mario, Eva, Dee, Victoria, Josette, Sam, Angela and Co, Mandy, Julianne, Karen, Lori, Julie, Cami, Jeannie, Monica, Desiree, Anna, Denise, Brenda, Jenny, Ashes, Neressa, Marlene, Michael, Ashley, Amanda, Ray, and William. Thank you all so much from the endless pit that is my heart. Your support means the underworld to me. Once more, in case I didn't say it enough, thank you so much to Jonny and Aileen for such a fun time. Go listen to me on their show, and I'll talk to you in the next one. And be kind and rewind. Bye.